property's worth 50. I give you a lien for 100. Well, if somebody buys at the upset sale, they got to pay the 100 grand. I win. I'm getting twice as much as what it's owed. So what it does reasonably is it keeps anybody from bidding on it at the upset sale, and it gains him another year's time to not have to pay on the taxes.
That's pretty smart, actually.
Because time is money. Do I want to catch up on those 2 years of taxes, or do I want to take and put my money in other places and make more off of it and wait another year to catch up on the taxes?
What you're just saying would be completely illegal in my opinion. There's no, that would be fraudulent, like, obviously you'd be hard to prove, but there's no way that would be legal.
They do it in business. In business,
other than a forged instrument comes to mind.
Well, what if you do it with another entity? Like even if it's a buddy, like you have a partner that you work with. You know,
if you owed him 100 grand and you put a lien on it, sure. If you just
what if you traded? I give you a 100 grand lien on my property, you give me a 100 grand lien on yours. So we each owe each other the same amount, but the liens are recorded.
Well, I like the way you think that.
You
probably get away with it doing it that way.
Well, absolutely. But this is, I mean, people do this in business. Like if you're talking corporations, to me, I liken it to what they call a poison pill. So, and I won't claim to understand it entirely, but if you have a big business and you're worried that you're going to have like a hostile takeover, somebody's going to buy up enough stock to take over your company, there's something you can do where if somebody buys a certain amount of stock, the company has certain things that kick in, like exorbitant raises for all the executives or something like that. Basically makes the company worth a lot less. So basically says, oh, we don't want you buying up our company here because our stock price is down, and if you buy it, all of a sudden, boom, it's going to be worth half as much because we're taking this poison pill. It's going to tank the company to an extent. You know, it's kind of like that. So same idea. You're trading liens, and hey, if you want to bid on it at the upset sale, well, that's all well. You're going to be paying twice as much as what it's worth because you're going to have to pay off the lien, or we're just going to foreclose and take it back, and then you're out your money. So either way, but it only forestalls it. And like I said, in this case, the investor was doing it to get another year. He eventually lost these properties. He'd playing the game, and eventually the game ran out. I don't know where he was putting his money, but he must not have been making enough because he
out of it.
Played
the game.
Right. I mean, if you had a big property and you're like, hey, well, my taxes every year are 30 grand. Well, geez, I could put that 30 grand somewhere else, and instead of paying the interest on this, that's maybe 6%. I know I could be making 10% of that money. Yeah. You know, life is made on the spread. What you can borrow money for versus what you can apply it to. Banks do it all the time. They'll give you 4% on your CD, and they're going to loan it out for 8%. They're making money on the spread. You know, he was, in theory, trying to do the same thing. You know, I'm not going to pay the tax man, gonna pay the fees and the interest. I'm going to make sure they can't sell it until the judicial sale, and it gives me 3 years of not having to pay the taxes. I can put the money somewhere else. Like I said, he took the risk and he ended up losing. But is what it is. So anyway, so that gets you through private sale. When you get to judicial sale, that's usually the year after the upset sale. If you once owners are getting to that point, you know, even ones who are trying to forestall it, they may be more amenable to being approached about buying a property. So just like the sheriff's sale, the opportunity might be to find these owners ahead of time if you can. Sometimes you can't, but if you can, that's a good point to find them. So if you go to an upset sale and you see the properties that don't sell, that's your list of properties that are going to be at the judicial sale. You have a whole year almost to take and start researching and finding these people. You know, that's a list to work from. A lot of it, you know, some of them will get paid off. Some of those people are going to game the system, and then, okay, now it's time to pay because my property's going to get sold unless I do. They're going to go and pay. But some of them are going to go to judicial sale. If you can find those and you can contact them, those people might be motivated to do something. So that's where your opportunity is. With the judicial sale, once you go there, they call it the free and clear sale because they're wiping away liens and encumbrances. But like we talked about earlier, doesn't wipe away everything because, you know, this is all through a state law. State's not going to screw themselves. So you're still going to owe estate taxes if estate taxes are applicable because it's not going to wipe that away. It's not going to wipe away an IRS tax lien. Certain things like that, not going to be wiped away. It's not going to take care of clouds on the title if somebody didn't sign the deed 40 years ago, that needed to sign it. The brother and the sister, owned it, and only the brother signed the deed. It's not taking care of all those things. That's all on you. So, same kind of a thing. Estate taxes, quiet title actions, clearing these things up. But if you buy at the judicial sale, you absolutely can. Those are they're known risks. Usually, you're not dealing with mortgages and other other significant costs.
Wouldn't child support be one of those on the list?
Probably. I don't know. I don't know if I probably, because I think at some point that ends up becoming a judgment.
Right.
So then if they record the judgment, so that would be the key thing, because an unpaid judgment is not a lien until it's recorded. So when you get a judgment, like at the magistrate, it's not a lien. After 30 days, they don't pay. It's not a lien. It's not a lien until you take a certified copy from the magistrate. You usually have to go and get one special, and you take it to the prothonotary office, fill out all their friggin' paperwork, and pay them their fees, and they record it. At that point, it becomes a lien. So if they don't actually take the steps to record it, maybe not. But if they do, probably, yeah. Then the very last part of the process. So a small number of properties won't sell at the free and clear sale. So what happens after that is they end up going on what's called the repository list. And if you look out at the website now, you can find the repository list, and there might be 800 or 900 properties on there. Most of it's garbage. It's
all
really
specks of land, like it's a lot of land, just little pieces of land. On corners
there
by
used to be
stop
more.
signs.
Like until about 3 or 4 years ago, there used to be you used to be able to find something out there. Now it's picked over. It's bones, and a lot of it's garbage. Some of it isn't even land. I'll give you an example. So this might be you probably know this, but others probably don't. Mobile homes. Mobile homes are taxed as real estate. So mobile home, you register it, transfer title. You transfer title to it like a car, but they get property taxes on the mobile home. So if you have a mobile home sitting in a mobile home park, the mobile park owner pays on the land, but the owner of the mobile home pays tax on the improvement on the mobile home itself. And sometimes they don't pay the tax, and they get foreclosed on, and they end up on the judicial sale, and they end up on the repository list. So there might be 100 mobile homes on the repository list.
Huh?
You buy those up?
He's the first person to ever tell me about the repository. I heard about everything on that list except for repository.
Yeah, if you can find, like most of them are probably poor condition,
Yeah.
but they're there. Well, some of them they're mobile, so they may not be there. That's realistically they're probably there because if they're in that poor condition, they're probably not roadworthy to move.
Right.
So that's where you end up with the issue. But if they're in a park that you can work with and they're not in that terrible condition, I guess you could buy one. I've never been motivated to do so. But just realize that the repository list, it's a lot of garbage. It is a lot of garbage. So, but I'll tell you the good things about it. So good things. When you buy something off the repository list, it's cheap. So you go out there, you research it, you find a property, you submit a bid. I think the current minimum in Luzerne County is $500 for a parcel of land, $1,000 if there's an improvement like a house on it. So that's the minimum. You're not bidding against anybody else. There's no reason to bid over the minimum, because once you submit your bid, they don't with a repository list, they don't take any other bids. So always submit the minimum, because as soon as there's a bid, they'll mark it on the repository list that there's a bid pending, and then they go through the process to give you the property, which this is the one that takes 11 months, which shouldn't. But so the good part about it is dirt cheap. So if you can find something you want, great. The other good thing about it, and this is one where I think I mentioned how governments do illegal things. I mentioned the whole Scranton and their rental fees and whatnot. For a long time, Luzerne County was doing something illegal, and I knew about it. I just didn't want to be the guy who called them on it. So it's in the state law that says when you buy a property off the repository list, that the assessed value shall be changed to the purchase price. So if you buy a property for $1,000, when you buy it, the assessed value is supposed to be changed to $1,000. So I bought a couple, and my taxes on property is like $25 a year. But it is not permanent. So it is a temporary benefit because we got to remember these properties are sitting out there and the county's responsible. So technically, if somebody goes on one of these properties and gets hurt, you sue the county. So there's a liability for the county having all these repository properties. Even though they're not technically in the county's name, they're the ones who's responsible apparently. So you get that tax benefit until they do a countywide reassessment or until you improve the property such that they can go and reassess it. So if you buy a piece of land, you build a house on it, they're going to reassess the property because you built a house. Now you've lost that benefit. Or you buy a property and the assessed value gets changed to $1,000, and 5 years later they do a countywide reassessment, which they may do at some point in the near future. They keep talking about doing it whenever the common level ratio is more than like 10%. So that's whenever the assessment is more than 10% off from being perfectly accurate. And they're going to do it in-house and not charge as much, kind of a simpler process. But you only get it until the property's reassessed. So it might be for a year or two, it might be for 10 years, it might be for 50 years, but you don't know.
So your assessment is based on that 10% figure you just mentioned?
It's based on the amount that you paid for the property.
No, I meant as far as when they do an assessment. In Florida, the property assessor is yearly. They come around every year and they assess.
No, in Pennsylvania that's not the case. Okay. No, and it's, I don't know about these other states that do it yearly, or some when you buy a property they change it to what you bought it for, which is weird too, because that doesn't make sense. Because let's say they had that process in Lackawanna County where the previous assessment was done in 1965. If you buy a property for $100,000.